Hey everybody, I'm here with another Ben 10 action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at Lodestar, Rath, and Nanomech. I wanted to do these three specifically together in one video because after the initial first 10 aliens in Alien Force, these three are the only extra ones that Ben gained in that whole Alien Force era. So I wanted to do all three of them together in one video. So let's get started on Lodestar. Here is Lodestar. So this is the first additional alien Ben gained in Alien Force. Like I said, after the initial 10, he gained only 3 aliens during Alien Force, which compared to the original series is not too much. After his first 10 in the original series, he gained like 9 extra aliens, but for Alien Force he only gained the 3 extra, and Lodestar was the first one of those, kind of comparable to Cannonbolt, I guess, for the original series. He was like the 11th alien. So let's get going on him. His articulation, his head does the typical 360, goes all the way around. Because of these like shoulder blades up here, it's kind of hard to get your fingers in there and turn that, because these really block your range there. But it does go all the way around, as you can see. So he does have that head articulation, and then the arms go all the way around at the shoulder, and then they do have the elbow joint. And then the legs have the usual hip joint. So they go up and down. And then he does have the knee articulation. And then that's it for articulation on him. Nothing else, like nothing in the ankle or the wrist. One thing with articulation on this guy that's kind of just awkward is that these like giant shoulder spikes, they're connected with his arm, like it's just one solid piece there. So the spike actually moves when you move his arm, which is like not at all how it works in the actual series. But I don't know if they really could have done it any other way with this. I don't know, maybe they probably could have put the joint like right here, but if they did that, I don't think they would have been able to do the full 360 all the way around turn with the shoulder if they had placed the joint right here. So you kind of have to give and take, I guess, decide which one you prefer. If you prefer it to be able to go all the way around, or if you prefer the anatomy of this alien to be a bit more show accurate. You kind of have to, pick and choose there. So that's one little thing that's kind of just weird. I mean, you can see, obviously you would never see that in the series with that spike pointing down that way, but it is just an action figure, so you get what you get. Otherwise, the rest of this alien, the rest of this figurine looks pretty good. They got all the yellow markings painted really well. You can see that detailing there. Looks pretty good. The face does have some sculpted parts. He has like those metal screws that are in his face. He's got all the line detailing there. Now the head itself, as you can see, it's placed on a little clear plastic part there, because in the actual show his head is just floating there, so can't really do that with an action figure, and that's definitely the next best thing. I mean, I don't really know what else they could have done. So it kind of makes it look like he has a neck, which he doesn't actually have, but it is clear plastic, so it's not that weird. And then he does have all the lines down here painted, and the toes are sculpted nicely. He's got his big old like magnet claws. That's just a scuff on my part. Omnitrix symbol looks good right there. So overall, this is really, decent looking figurine. Just a little bit of weird body sculpting, I guess, with this arm or the shoulder articulation. But otherwise, overall, very good figurine. So let's get him up here next to Rath for a little bit of scaling comparison. Alright, here is Lodestar next to Rath. I think that scaling looks pretty good. Rath could maybe be a bit taller, but otherwise it looks pretty accurate. I know I've mentioned before that like the Alien Force and Ultimate Alien figurines kind of waver on the scaling. Really, it's like 50-50. I mean, some of them are pretty accurate like this. Some of them are not so accurate, as I've shown in the past. Really, the scaling gets bad around Omniverse, and I'll get into that coming up in some future videos. But this scaling right here doesn't look too bad. And here we have Rath. Definitely a fan favorite. Rath is like big time comedic relief in the series. One of Ben's more extroverted aliens. Definitely, he's also one of them that kind of takes over Ben's personality more so than others. A lot of them tend to keep, Ben's personality for the most part, but Rath is one that definitely alters that for the better. I think it's definitely good for humor. But so articulation on Rath, he has the head swivel. Mine is super stiff, so I'm trying to turn it here, but he does go all the way around, as you can see, and the arms go all the way around at the shoulder. He has the elbow articulation. It just really goes up. His elbow articulation doesn't go back at all, so it just goes up there. And then he's got the hip articulation, so it goes up about that far and goes back about that far. And then he does have the knee joints. So pretty standard articulation on him, but he's a very humanoid, like bipedal alien, so the standard articulation makes sense for him. You could still, get some pretty decent poses out of him, whatever you want to do. As for the sculpt and like paint and detailing, I think he looks awesome. I mean, this is, like I said, a fan favorite alien. People are going to expect good things with this figure, they want him to be accurate. I think he looks really good. I think they did a good job, so shouldn't be too disappointed if you have this figure. You can see they got some really good sculpting in his face, his like angry furrowed brow. They sculpted his little like eyebrow cat ears. The teeth are actually sculpted, very small, but they are. So his face looks really good. He's mainly just the one color, just one orange color with some black stripes. But for what they had to work with, it looks really good. All the stripes are painted on very well. And the sculpt on him is really good too. I mean, they got his big buff tiger muscles. That looks good. And then I want to talk about these claws right here. They look pretty darn good. Big, huge claws coming out of his like middle knuckle there. You can see the underside of his hand is sculpted, so he's got the fingers there and then the claw on top. And a little bit of the claw going into the orange fur. Looks really good. I just think they did great on this figurine. So that's it for Rath. The next figurine is Nanomech, so let me get him on up here. So this is kind of what I was talking about with the scaling wavering a bit with these figurines. I mean, obviously you're not going to get a 100% show accurate Nanomech in scale with the rest of these figurines, because if you did, it would be super, super tiny. You'd hardly be able to see it. But they could have kind of did what they did with gray matter in the original series wave, where they made gray matter about, you know, half the size to 3/4 of the size of the typical figurine. Like gray matter was, you know, he'd maybe go up to here, like about up to Rath's elbow, around there. So they kind of could have done something like that with Nanomech, I guess. Maybe I'm just being picky, but Nanomech is like the smallest alien that Ben has, so it kind of would have been nice if they recognized that a bit in this figurine. But yeah, so let's just move on to the articulation with Nanomech. So his head turns all the way around. He has the 360 shoulder turn. He has the elbow joint. So his elbows go up and down. And then he has the, he's got a bit of a hip movement here. Doesn't really move much, but he's got a bit of a hip movement there. And then he's got the knee joint that goes up and down. Now, that's it for articulation, pretty standard. So I want to move on to the paint and detailing here. As you can see, I'm getting some paint on my finger. It's because with the design of this character, the paint, they did not add these green lines on. He was just like one solid gray color, very flat and boring. So these gray lines I painted on myself with like I used a very fine tip paint marker. Obviously it's not I don't know, I painted it a while ago, but it's still pretty didn't completely dry. I guess maybe it's due to the plastic, it just didn't dry completely onto the plastic. But I felt it was necessary to do that just personally because he looked so flat and boring before. It was like just one solid gray color, and Nanomech has all these little wires and things going on. It didn't look right, so I really wanted to draw those in myself. And you know, that's kind of personal opinion. It's up to you if you want to attempt that or not. If you're feeling artsy or craftsy, go ahead. I just think it really kind of makes the character, makes the figurine look better than the original one, where, like I said, it was just all one complete solid gray color. Didn't look quite right. But otherwise, other than the paint, I think they did pretty good on this figurine. I will mention that I think that this figurine actually came out in the Ultimate Alien wave of figurines, because we never actually saw this animated cartoon version in Alien Force. The version we saw was in the Alien Swarm movie, where it was like the CGI live action version of Nanomech. They did make a figurine of that version if you prefer that one. It's the one where he looks much more, you know, realistic and lifelike. He has a lot more detailing in the sculpt and everything. So they do make that version of him as an action figure. I did not choose to have that one on my display because, I mean, really for the most part in the series, this is the way we saw Nanomech, like animated. We only saw that CGI version once, and I just prefer this look, I guess. So this is the one I have in my display. So while Nanomech did technically debut in like the Alien Force era with that Alien Swarm movie, we never really saw this version of him until Ultimate Alien. So I'll get closer here. You can see these sculpt on his face. All these like black lines and everything are actually sculpted in. His eye is sculpted there. It's not just painted on. You can see that's where I was smudging those green lines I drew on, so I'll have to fix that later. But you can see the other ones I did, I think came out pretty well. Turn him around here. He does have his wings. So like the sculpt on him looks really good. I think, you know, they did a good job on that. It was just that major lack of paint that kind of bothered me. You can see all of his like midsections there with the black. They're sculpted. There's his feet. But that's about it for Nanomech. Like I said, if they do make that other figurine if you prefer that one. And I don't personally have it, so I won't be reviewing it. But I'll probably throw in a picture of it at the end of this review so you can see that one too. So let me get everyone back on up here. Alright, that is it for today's review. My next video I will be talking about Ultimate Alien Ben, Water Hazard, and Amphibian. So keep an eye out for that one. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.